Geneseo is a community in northwest Illinois, just east of the Quad Cities. We have 6,500 people living here in a small rural area. We have a lot of exciting things, a very vibrant downtown, and a small community that's very proud of itself and the efforts that we make that are very future focused.
I grew up here. I'm a third generation in Geneseo, so it's just a wonderful community because we have such unique little shops in the downtown area. We have a historic downtown with Victorian architecture and restaurants. We have two new brew pubs in town, and there's so much to do here in the small little town, but it's also very community oriented, a very safe community with a great school district.
Our rates in the city of Geneseo are some of the lowest in the state. We credit it to having renewable energy behind the meter generation, where we're not paying transmission costs and not paying fuel for that keeps our rates down in our city, our community.
We really try to be green focused with the energy efforts that we've made here, and are proud of the things that we've done in the electric utility in various parts of the city to make sure that we're really thinking about a sustainable future for not only our community but all of Illinois and the United States. In 2015, we were lucky enough to receive $1 million from the Illinois Clean Energy Community Foundation. We were very thankful for that, and this project would not have been possible without that money. The City Council did approve a $1.5 million loan as we continue to work towards that green energy goal. The people that actually did the construction were a community business right here in Geneseo, and that made it even more special that the people that were working on the project live right here in Geneseo and can take pride in such a great project for our community.
Renewable energy is a great thing. This is the way to go. When you're not paying for transmission cost and no fuel costs, and it's in your backyard, you know what it is. Distributed generation. It's there. It's on your side of the meter. It's a great thing. If we don't like the price of the power that's on the market that day, we start our generators up. With our wind and solar, if the power is cheaper by us producing it, we'll produce it than what we do when we buy it on the market.
One of the things as mayor, what was important to me was that we brought the community together to help build our future together. And so we've created a collaboration team with the school district, the park district, the Chamber of Commerce, and just local businesses, and together created a new city logo that brought all of us together. It includes a sunrise and a path that feeds into the tagline, where the future grows. And it kind of goes in line with where we are going, that we're always future focused and making sure that we stay green and that we are doing what we can for the environment and for the earth. That says this is who we are, this is Geneseo.
Sustainability, I think, goes hand in hand with the museum's mission. Our mission is really about educating, it's about preserving the past, discovery, and making a better future. So all of these things are relevant to sustainability. Sustainability is all about learning how to coexist with the world around us so that we are not putting ourselves in a position where our children and our children's children are having a bleaker future. One of the great things about being in a historic building, a landmark building, is that the building is beautiful, the building was built to last. One of the downsides of being in a historic landmark building is it means you can't really change the envelope, because the envelope has been dictated to be aesthetically important for cultural reasons, heritage reasons, and you can't change it. Renewable energy becomes that lovely sweet spot at a place like the Field Museum, where you're able to take things like solar power and say, solar power has got sort of a high upfront capital investment that's required, and it pays off over many, many years. But at a place like the Field Museum, we know this building isn't going anywhere. It makes all the sense in the world to integrate renewable energy into our building and our operations as much as possible.
What we're looking at is two house chillers, 750 tons apiece. On this side, they're ice makers, 1,300 ton train units. During the day, we'll start burning the ice that we made the night before when the electric rates are lower from ComEd. So we use the bulk of our electricity on the off-peak hours. It is important to control temperature and humidity for these artifacts. There are certain areas where there's artifacts stored. Could be a mummy, could be a dinosaur bone, or some ancient canoe. These artifacts require certain temperature and humidity control. And it's a pretty tight parameter. It's like plus or minus 5% humidity, and it would be plus or minus 2 degrees. They're taking care of just that box itself. Maybe it's the size of a refrigerator. And that air is developed in a machine where it's all temperature controlled with the water. So it actually changes the dew point of the air that is forced through a blower into that case through a little tubing. And it could be many cases in one of the exhibit halls that are set up to run off of a microclimate machine.
So the green team would meet once a month and say, how do we green this place? How do we figure out ways to be more efficient? How do we figure out ways to eliminate waste? We struggled a lot with the restaurants at the time. The restaurants, it took me years to figure this out, but they were about 50% of our waste stream because there was a lot of sort of a takeout, just sort of a lot of packaging. You know, we got a lot of stakeholders together that felt the same way. And Megan Williams, who is now our Director of Business Enterprises, received sort of oversight over the restaurants, and she was like, yes. She's like, I'm going to take this and we're going to do like a real RFP, and we're going to weave sustainability into the restaurants, and we're going to make it what everybody who eats here experiences as part of their trip to the Field Museum. You know, we've got our 68-point sustainability program. We started this process in probably 2010 or 2011. It took 4 years, start to finish, to actually make it happen.
We promote sustainability here in the restaurants with accordance to a guidebook that is given to us by the museum. Everything is compostable. Everything that you get all your food on is all compostable. It goes in compost. We have a process that is landfill, compostable, and recycling. And all that is weighed by our employees on a day-to-day basis. It's promoting a healthier program here at the museum. I think the biggest difficulty is having such a large group of people coming in. I know the museum has over 1 million people a year that visit. I think our biggest obstacle is getting the story out and getting the message out on how to exactly do the waste properly. We have 3 waste areas to tell the story of what they have and everything. So we try to tell the story of the pictures and things like that by the garbage so that they know this goes here, and then everything else goes in the waste, which is minimal as much as we can at least. We actually divert here at the museum 74% of our waste. That is, 3 out of every 4 pounds is diverted to either recycling, cardboard, or compost, with the majority of that actually being compost. So very little actual waste goes out from the museum.
Now, biofuels is important on so many levels, but for our industry, it really is a game changer. We don't have other opportunities to reduce our footprint as significantly. We've done all this great work on fuel efficiency, increasing our fuel efficiency by 40% since 1991, but you can't get as far as you want to go without really making changes. We use 4 billion gallons of jet fuel each year. And fuel has a fantastic opportunity for us, not only in reducing our environmental footprint, but also in improving costs.
United is actually a leader in aviation biofuels. We are the only U.S. airline currently flying on biofuels. So in March of 2016, we launched biofuel flights out of Los Angeles International Airport from a refinery located about 20 miles to the east of LAX, the Altair facility. Altair uses agricultural waste products to convert into jet fuel, which is then mixed with our traditional jet fuel to fly.
Altair's renewable jet fuel emits an estimated less than 60% of the greenhouse gases from production to combustion compared to conventional jet fuels. That is a win for the people of California and the world.
They did not have to do this. They took the initiative, and they're going to lead and be an example for others. And for that, I'm very grateful. And thank you, United Airlines. You are making the skies a whole lot friendlier.
In 2015, we invested $30 million in Fulcrum Bioenergy. And with that relationship, we have the opportunity to co-develop up to 5 biorefineries. Their feedstock is municipal solid waste. So not only are you decreasing carbon on a life cycle basis, but you're also helping to solve a problem that we have around waste.
Biofuel is our best solution to date to reduce our carbon footprint. Also with Fulcrum Bioenergy, we're reducing the methane emissions that could be done in a landfill. The United EcoSkies program has 4 pillars that we focus on: fuel efficiency, alternative biofuels, our sustainable supply chain, and working with our partners. One of the outreach initiatives that United took was working with Columbia College School of Fashion here in Chicago. We had fashion students compete in a design competition to upcycle materials, and we were taking United's waste from old advertising materials that once hung in O'Hare Airport to turn those into travel bags. So we were educating our employees, we were educating the students all about our own waste footprint as well as the waste of the fashion industry.
Our fuel efficiency program is one of the leading in our industry. We have almost 200 aircraft on order right now, and those aircraft are expected to have a 15 to 20% increase in fuel efficiency. And we were the launch partner for the split scimitar winglet, which further increases fuel efficiency.
One of the initiatives that we launched in 2016 was working with Clean the World to recycle our amenity kits. So these are kits that a first or business class customer would receive on an international flight. Oftentimes, many of these items are opened but then left behind on the aircraft. So United was the first airline to work with Clean the World to collect those unused items and recycle them. Clean the World takes those materials and repurposes them for hygiene kits that they distribute to homeless shelters, veterans groups, women's organizations, as well as international aid organizations.
You know, I think that clean energy and looking forward and being sustainable oftentimes can be a challenge as a community leader, looking towards helping your residents understand why looking forward and spending money today. Because oftentimes what you see is that you've convinced a city council why it makes sense to really commit to not taking resources out of the earth and taking those and making them more renewable resources. But oftentimes a community might see that upfront cost, so really just one by one explaining to residents that this is our commitment and that sometimes those commitments to our future do cost money and that those are really the reasons that we do those things.
Winning the Illinois Sustainability Award is a really huge deal because it takes all of the people here that have done a lot of work that previously was not terribly well known, and it gives us that wonderful external validation that it's meaningful. All of this LEED stuff isn't just jumping through hoops. No, this is really something that the whole world values, the whole state values. It allowed us to get everybody in the institution to understand why this is important. Like there's some ways that we've figured out how to connect it with the mission, and that is what gets things up on the wall and gets it to stick. Especially for the institutional advancement folks, I think even it makes their job so much easier to raise money for what we call the nuts and bolts, which is really hard at a place like this because what everybody really likes to fund and support is like the super splashy fun science. They want to fund that guy who's going to discover dinosaurs and unknown civilizations because, of course, who wouldn't? It's a little harder to explain why our energy bill is as large as it is, and it's because that stuff comes back here and we need to take care of it forever. It's connected 1,000 dots across the institution.
These awards mean a lot to United in recognition for the work that we're doing. What's also important is to recognize what a great community there is in the state of Illinois of other companies and governments that are committed to the environment. So I think one of the biggest benefits of this award is meeting those others and recognizing what they have done and that we're part of a broader fabric here in Illinois.